Hey guys, Ken Smith Fishing. So from a messy desk, yes, I got stuff everywhere. This is a video I actually shot a couple of weeks ago talking about some questions I get asked quite a bit about YouTube. So it's just general stuff about if you want to do this, if you want to film, what to edit with, stuff like this. So it's a short video. Hope you enjoyed. It's pretty inclement weather. But before we go there, so you guys know we've been talking quite a bit about the Texas Sharelunker program because Texas Park and Wildlife wants to capture that data. And so I had a question, and by the way, if you're a Spark Energy customer, I've talked about this a bunch, and you catch an 8+, they'll pay you $250, a 10+, they'll pay you $500, or a 13+, $1,000 through their program we're working on through Sharelunker. We're almost got the details worked out where we're going to share some money with Sharelunker. As soon as we get that worked out, I'll talk to you about that. But the question I got was to do it, and by the way, there's a link. There's going to be 2 links below. The first link is generally how you do it, and you can download an app to your phone, take pictures. But if you're in a tournament, nobody wants to stop during a tournament and do all of that. So if you're in a tournament, you can actually just submit to Sharelunker some very basic information, basically a screenshot or a printout of where you caught an 8+ pound fish, whatever size it is, in a tournament with the date on it and the organization. Then they will approve that to put you in that Sharelunker program, and there's some prize packages available from them as well. And so I had talked about in a video, actually it might have even been earlier this week, about if you were in a bass champs tournament, all you had to do was show them that. And a guy said, well, is it only bass champs? So I reached out to Kyle on the drive down here to Zavala this week, and he said no. He said actually it's most any tournament. Now again, there's a link below, but basically here's what they're looking for. And it can be a club tournament. They just want to know that you weighed that fish. They would love to have a picture of the fish. And why wouldn't you want to have a picture? Because you can get your picture on the Sharelunker site. If I post one, when I post one this year, I certainly will do that. But they'd like to have a picture, but as long as you've got some kind of a printout, and again the rules are below in the link, but some kind of printout showing that it was a tournament in 2021, that it was on a Texas lake, and that you caught a fish 8+ pounds that somebody else weighed on a scale, they're going to accept it. They're not trying to make this hard to participate in this. So I just wanted to get that out there. So if you're in a club tournament, if you're in a media bass tournament, if you're in a Texas team trail tournament, any of those circuits, and by the way, the FLW tournament the other day, Derek, which I guess now is Major League Fishing, Derek caught that 13-pounder. I was told by Kyle at Sharelunker that fish was submitted. So it's a pretty cool deal, and it helps get them good data, and it gives you recognition as a fisherman. And if you happen to be a Spark customer, you can get a little payoff of it too. Actually, you can get a lot of payoff of it. So there you go. All the rules on the Spark part is on the Spark website. I'll put a link to it below. If you want to look into signing up to be a Spark customer, the link's down there below as well. All that stuff's in there. So I just wanted to talk about that so you knew that it's any tournament pretty much in Texas that you can get your fish certified into the Sharelunker program, which is really cool. So, all right, let's jump over to our footage, and I think you'll enjoy this if you're interested in doing some outdoor videos, shooting yourself, posting to YouTube, or just want to edit it up to share with your friends. So here we go. Welcome to Rayburn. That noise you hear is sleet. You can see it on the back deck. Everybody talks about how crowded Rayburn is. I put in at Caney about 2 hours ago, actually 7:30, so it's 10 o'clock now, and there was only 3 boats in the parking lot. I was the 3rd, so it's not that crowded. Rayburn's not crowded at all. Now, this is coming. There's a 20-mile-an-hour north wind. It's beautiful out, man. Got to tell you. So I wanted to talk about the couple of the most common questions I get asked by my viewers, and so the number one is, hey, I want to start a YouTube channel, and there's a lot of questions about that. And one of the questions is, what software do I use to do my editing? And so the software I have chosen to use, I've used 2 so far. I use Photoshop Video Editor. Sorry, trying to get that glove on so I can feel my fingers again. It's about 37 right now. Photoshop Video Editor, and it's cumbersome. And a buddy of mine told me to use the iMovie off a MacBook. So we updated, we bought a newer MacBook, and that's what we're using now. And I'm going to say intuitively it's probably the easiest. Now I know a lot of my buddies who do what I do, they use some other ones, but for me that's the easiest one to use right now. Not saying that that I won't change that in the future. So I use iMovie. It's really intuitive, and if you need some help with it, I'm glad to help any of you guys out who want to reach out to me. And again, the easiest way to know that I'm going to respond to you is through my email, kensmithfishing@outlook.com. Sorry, it's sleeting harder and harder, and I left my motorcycle helmet in the truck, or in the boat barn. So that's what I use. Now, and I also want to go on, so the hardest thing for me about doing what I do is the editing. And granted, I am technologically challenged to some degree, but I spend hours a week. So I try to post 2 videos a week, and I probably spend 3 to 10 hours a week editing. And if you start doing this, you'll discover fishing videos are much harder to edit than videos like this where you're just talking, because you're splicing lots and lots of footage, you're reviewing lots of footage to see where the fish catches are. That's just part and parcel. So that's the biggest time drain, and it's a time drain from everything else. It's a time drain from your regular work, it's a time drain from your fishing, and it's a time drain from your family. So your family's got to have some patience, and Sarah's been great about that. I will also say this to you. If I would love to find somebody to offload some of that on, but the challenge is this: you can't just find a good video editor, because if I give a good video editor 20 hours or even 2 hours of rough footage, they don't know what you and I want to see in these videos. So to have good footage, you got to have somebody editing that footage who's a fisherman, fisherwoman. So if you are, or if you know of somebody who is good or wants to get into the software editing world, and also is somebody who fishes, I'd love to talk to them about maybe doing some of that for me. It's something, that's one of my goals this year, is to get enough sponsorship to offload that and not have to spend all those nights editing that software or editing those videos. So that's one of the most common questions. And I got a question this week that I thought was one of the better questions I've ever gotten about being a YouTuber. And this young man said, will it help or hurt my fishing? And it will help you a little bit if you can get to the level, which I'm not, where you're doing it full time. If you're a Guggen, or if you're Scott Martin, or one of those guys, and of course all those guys have people doing their editing for them now, but if all you do is fish, it will probably help you, because once you get big enough, you can pay your bills with it. You don't have to go to a regular job. But if you're going to do it like I do, which is as a side gig, it's going to hurt your fishing. And it's going to hurt your fishing a couple of ways. Number one, you're going to give away some spots. And I never try to hide a spot. Hold on one second, I got to hide a camera. It's getting covered in sleet up here. So I don't intentionally hide spots, right? Now, if I'm fishing a spot and there's a sign that says fish here next to it and everybody knows that sign, I'm probably not going to show that footage. Or I'm going to change the angle on that footage a little bit. But I don't go out of my way to make sure that people can't tell where I'm fishing. So you're going to give away some spots. Several of the places that I've found fish just this year already, I've lost because they're getting hammered, because people watch these videos, and that's what you watch these videos for. I started this channel to share. So, and that's what I do. I tell you all the truth about where I'm fishing. I tell you all the truth about what I'm fishing with, whether it's a sponsor product or not. And that's what I've told all my sponsors when we come on board. Look, I'm a tournament fisherman. I'm going to fish with what works. So you're going to give away some spots. That's just part of it. So I, probably more than most anybody else on Rayburn, have to constantly find new fish. And that's the second thing where this is going to hurt you. YouTube is an animal that has to be fed content. So it's really, really hard to come out here and do what I used to do, which is what I'm doing today, which is idle and look for deep fish. Because normally on a day that I would do this, I would be fishing all day, and I would get my bites, edit up a video and I would have content. Because to be on YouTube and to be successful, from my experience, you have to be consistent in posting, and you have to not give up after a year. I mean, this just, very few guys have super success in a year. It takes them a year or 2 years or 3 years to really start gaining traction, and I certainly did. I really only gained traction after about my second year of doing this. So you got to feed that animal. You got to have a ton of content. And it's 10:11. I put in this morning right around, it was either 7:30 or 8. So I've been out here 2.5, 3 hours, and I have not made a cast. All I have done is idle and look and idle and look. And when you can't do that anymore, it hurts your fishing, especially this time of year when you're trying to find deep fish. So that's how it's gonna help your fishing. That's how it's gonna hurt your fishing. I still enjoy it. If I don't enjoy it, I'll probably quit doing it. But I enjoy doing it, and I've gotten some traction. We've brought some money into the industry with specifically the Spark deal, and that's exciting to me. Again, I did this to help other people, and it seems to be working. I continue to get tremendous feedback from you guys, and let me tell you, it's a pat on the back. An email or a comment on a Facebook video is a pat on the back on my back, and it still makes me feel good. But anyway, so that's my little bit on YouTube, kind of the questions I've been asked and what's going on. I'm going to go back out here and idle around a little bit more. And you know what? If I see something of interest, so here's the thing. Chris Wilson's really good down here deep, and several of the guys he fishes with, and as are Danny and Brian. And I started thinking back to the video with Clayton and Albert talking about how hard they look to find a spot. So on the drive home today, and I'll post what they tell me, I'm real curious. I'm going to ask those three guys, Chris, Danny, and Brian, on their average practice day in the winter, how much do they idle and look versus how much they actually fish? And I'm going to bet you in all of those situations, they fish probably less than they look and idle with their electronics. So I'll post that. That'll be a real good question for those guys that I'm curious about, so I suspect you guys will be curious about as well. And that's hard, right? When those of us who have, excuse me, I got stuff running out of my nose. When those of us who have regular full-time jobs come to the lake, we want to go fishing. We don't want to go idling around looking. But we've talked about this. To be competitive on Rayburn and catch those sacks that are, and not to be get a check competitive, to be winning tournaments competitive, you gotta be fishing offshore on Rayburn. Rayburn's banks are getting beat so bad. There is not a fish in less than 10 foot of water on Rayburn that did not see a lure yesterday. That's just how it is. So you gotta be willing to come down here on your day off and not fish a whole bunch, and that's hard to do. So we'll question those guys, and I'm going to say bye here, but I'll come back in just a second. Well, actually, it'll be instantaneous to you guys. So Ken of the Future will be showing us what those guys' answers were to how much they idle versus how much they fish. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Well, I don't even have to say that because we're going to talk right here again in just a second. All right, hope you enjoyed that. So this is Thursday. I hope to be picking up my boat this afternoon. I got a big announcement on that you guys will see. Not a new boat, but you'll see what I'm going to talk about here. And we're headed Friday over to Lake Travis to fish the first Central Bass Champs tournament. And you guys are going to get to meet the guy that kind of ramrodded up the Spark deal. So he's going to fish with me. It's his first bass tournament. So he's either going to love it or hate it. Hopefully we're going to get some decent weather, and hopefully we can figure out how to catch a few fish over there. So stick around. First part of next week will be some footage off of Travis. Thanks, guys. We'll see y'all real soon.